Welcome back everybody to the channel. This week we are spending our entire week with this 2025 Cadillac Escalade IQ. Yes, it's the Cadillac, and they've made an EV out of it based on the Ultium platform. So you have things like the big Chevy Silverado EV with a massive EV battery, right? It screams luxury, it screams expensive, and it is all of these things. It is ridiculous. Look at the size of the tires. Look at the size of the taillights. A reimagined Escalade. An Escalade for the future. Some people are going to absolutely love this thing. Some people are going to absolutely hate it. I am in the camp where I think this is an incredible feat of ingenuity, of technology, and it deserves to be celebrated just for what it is. I mean, it's expensive. You probably can't afford it, but man, is it cool to spend a week with it. So, I mean, look at this thing. It looks really cool. This gray paint color. It's got the arrival mode, the crab walk thing. It's pretty fast for what it is. I mean, it weighs a ton. I have an L plate, which means I think I'm over 5,000 pounds. In Quebec, the doors open automatically. I mean, like, let's just get a little close, right? Let's just get let's just give you a look. We got the same kind of iconic Cadillac taillights that we're used to seeing, but again, they're reimagined in this kind of front daytime running LED. You can see it kind of continues. I'm sure this is a front trunk. We'll check out that later. We also have some more LED here. These tires are about halfway up my leg. It's unbelievable. Adjustable air suspension, you name it. It's got a nice little step down there too. Oh man, what a thing. And I'll give you a little sneak peek. Is this side? This side is not okay. I'll give you a little sneak peek. Check that out. Doors open by themselves. I do have the executive package. We're gonna explore all of it this week. And yeah, I'm gonna take you along for the ride. I'm gonna show you absolutely everything there is to see. If you actually have enough money, $194,000 Canadian, to live with one of these Cadillac Escalades IQ. Let's get into the video. All right, so back out on the road. Cadillac Escalade IQ. Oh my goodness, what a big rig this thing is. I mean, like, I've driven this Chevy Silverado EV already, so I'm kind of familiar with how the Ultium platform drives and behaves. This thing is absolutely no exception to that. It is a ridiculous fast machine. And it weighs a ton. I've got an L plate, let me tell you. So it is just ridiculous how heavy this thing is. I think it's over 5,000 pounds or something like that. I'll get the poundage correct later on in the week. This is merely just the intro. My first driving impressions are that it drives heavy, it feels heavy, but it still feels like an Escalade. And I think that is really important, right? Like, you don't want to ever lose the value of a brand like Escalade, right? It's expensive, it's luxurious, it's over the top, and that is all of this IQ. Like, it is all of those things and probably a little bit more, because we have the arrival stuff and, like, you know, all this interesting and wonderful stuff that we're going to get into during the week here. But so far, like, it's been really cool to drive. The public reaction has been cool too. Not a lot of these on the road, probably none of them in my area. So people have been looking, people have been staring and pointing, and yeah, I mean, that's why you buy an Escalade. You don't buy an Escalade to blend in. You buy a, I don't know what it's called, oh my goodness, it's the Yukon. There we go. You buy a Yukon if you're an undercover boss. This is very much, you're a CEO and you want everybody to know it, and also, you know, you're driving a house around because it's cool, or you're a rapper of some sort. You know, it's like you're one of those things for sure. Because this thing is not cheap and it is not under the radar, and I love it for it. I think it's really cool. It's just a feat of engineering. Do you need it in your life? No. But if you have, you know, a substantial amount of money and parting ways with 200 grand does nothing to you, yeah, maybe you need something like this in your life. It's big, it's powerful, it's cool as ever, it's a feat of engineering and a half, it's luxurious. And you just feel like, you know, I feel like I own Facebook. You know, I feel like Mark himself, although Mark himself has said that he drives the Cadillac CT5V because he's a true purist, let me tell you, and I respect him for that. You know, if there's nothing else you can respect him for, that is a good choice, my friend. But possibly he owns one of these. Who knows? I definitely feel like the guy this week. So really, really cool. I'm going to try to take you through absolutely everything. I mean, you know, this thing, you know, it definitely does have quite a bit of power behind it. It's got the crab walk thing, or the arrival steering, you call it crab walk either way. I've got like a VMAX button. It doesn't make a noise like the Silverado EV does, but it definitely packs a little hit here. We'll do like a half little hit here just to be safe. Oh, everything went flying. Oh my goodness. But I have a good amount of stability even when I'm ripping like that. I'm able to control the vehicle, but a vehicle this big should not be able to move like that. That's ridiculous. Oh my goodness. All right, well, it's getting dark and you're not gonna be able to see me soon. So I'll pick it back up a little bit later. All right, welcome back outside. It's slightly raining, slightly gross, but the Cadillac Escalade IQ doesn't care because it looks nice and luxurious no matter what time of day it is or no matter what weather it is outside. I mean, look at this thing. It looks really, really cool. I got to try to show you later on in the week like the startup lighting animations because it kind of like stacks here and it's really cool. And you also, it bleeds over here and really, really nice. You've kind of got like a glow from the badge here a little bit. It's hard to see on camera. And there is actually a button for the front trunk. I think it might be this right here. I'm not sure. I want to press it right now because I don't want to get the inside of the trunk wet. And you can see how absolutely massive these tires are. They're like 26 inches. I'll put the right number on the screen if I got it wrong, but these rims are just massive. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's in its kind of exit/entry mode right now, so it's at the lowest mode, so that's why it looks so cool and low. If we come back to the tail lights here, I really like this kind of dual design here. So you have like a full light bar here and it continues, reminds me a little bit of the Lyric. And then we have our brake light right up here and we have the rear wiper that's tucked underneath a little spoiler there. The Escalade IQ badge, and then this 1000 E4 wheel. E4 is actually for the all-wheel drive system. The 1000 is actually the torque number in Newton meters. So, you know, they want to, you know, it's a little play on words, I guess, or a little play on numbers, because technically it doesn't have 1,000 pound-foot of torque, but if you convert it to Newton meters, then yes, it has 1,000 Newton meters of torque. Interesting. Hey, look, it is what it is. People might see that and say, what, 1,000 horsepower? If they do, I guess that's part of the plan, right? But let me know what you think. I really like this gray color. I think it's gray. Maybe it's like slate blue. I'm not sure. Again, haven't looked at the specs because this is just me living with it. So I'm just going off the top of my head here. But it's a really, really good color. But I believe it is the gray color that's on offer here. But I think any color would be good because, you know, you've got paint matched pretty much everywhere. The fenders, a little bit of a flare there as well. So it's all very nicely done. But let me know what you think as usual. Alrighty, so back out on the road now with the Cadillac Escalade IQ, about midway through the week now, and I think I've finally gotten used to all of what's going on in here, right? I think I've finally figured out where all the buttons are. I'm used to this climate control screen. I'm used to knowing where everything is. You know, if people in the car ask me where things are, I kind of know, I know what's going on. And it did take about 3 days for that to happen because I've got like 5-6 screens in here. So like, it's a lot when you're trying to drive and use all that at the same time. So really, like all week in my main review and stuff, I've been saying like, look, if you own this thing, take a second, sit in the car for like half an hour and touch everything. You know, go into every menu, go into everything, so that way you know what it does, and that way when you're actually driving and you need to change something on the fly, you can just do it and you know where it is, and it's just much easier. But once you get the hang of it, it's a very easy system to use and to understand. It's, you know, basically works like your normal vehicle, but things are just a little bit differently placed, and also you've got touch buttons for everything. So if one of your screens happens to fail, obviously that is a point of concern. Hopefully it never does long term. And if it ever broke and you know, I had to fix it, I would not be able to afford it because I can't afford the vehicle in general. But we have a ton of comfort, a ton of luxury, and quite a bit of speed for a vehicle that weighs like 9,000 pounds. At first I thought it was 5, but it's 9. So I can pop it into VMAX mode and it will become an absolute rolling bullet, but like from a tank. Because check this out. Let's give it full beams. Oh, everything just flew. Yeah. I like have to hold on to the steering wheel so that I could like, you know, see the road, because it really just makes you see the sky for a second there. It is ridiculously quick. I mean, a vehicle that weighs this much, I don't know. Should it be able to go that fast? I mean, goodness me. It is quick as ever. feels a little bit less faster than the Silverado EV, but I do feel like it's hard to say that for sure without being in that car or that truck back to back with this one. I'm sure they kind of feel the same, because you can tell that there's a lot of power there, but it's picking up so much weight that, like, 760 horsepower, whatever it is, feels like, probably around the 5 range, maybe a bit less, because it doesn't give you like that snap back right away. It gives you like, it's a very gradual acceleration. It's not a scary one. It's scary in the fact that I'm in something that weighs a ridiculous amount and it's absolutely ripping, and hopefully nothing gets in my way, like an animal or a bird, because they'll just get deleted. Stuff like that. But other than that, because you're not really going to be in VMAX mode most of the time, unless you're like, I think you're in sport mode if you have the Escalade V, because it's a massive V8, sounds crazy. You always want people to hear you. In the IQ, you want people to see you, because they're not going to hear you because you're an electric vehicle, right? So I think just driving it normally, you're still going to get as much attention as an Escalade V, just without ripping it. So VMAX mode is kind of like the more of a party trick to me anyways. I don't really see a big use for it other than just a good laugh because again, it's crazy how fast it can go. So driving has been easy. It's been really, really comfortable. Suspension deletes all of the bumps, but I will say that you do feel that 9,000 pound weight when you go over speed bumps. Like it can't do anything. The suspension can't tune that. It just crashes down on some of those the smaller and heavy speed bumps that are high up, and it comes down, or like a high curb when you're leaving a parking lot. Boom, you feel it, and you're just like, oof, my God. So it does show its weight a little bit in that area. And also when you're steering like heavy corners and stuff like that, obviously they're not going to be able to tune out all the body roll they do, but you still do feel the weight. You still kind of got to wait a little bit for the vehicle to turn. It's pretty much, it's spring right now. I guess you could say May is spring, and so I'm not really concerned about stopping power, but in the winter on some heavy ice, this thing is really heavy. So for it to come to a complete stop in an emergency situation, you're probably going to slide. I was sliding a little bit in the Silverado EV when I tried to apply the brakes in like heavy ice conditions, heavy snow. Even though I had the all-wheel drive, even though I had it in snow mode, it's just a heavy thing. It's just impossible. It's not physics. Physics don't work like that. So what I think is really good is that, driving this thing in the summer, but I think you'll be okay if you give yourself some really good winter tires. And obviously, if you can afford the Cadillac Escalade IQ in the form that I have it, with Quebec taxes and Canadian dollars and everything included, you're looking at just north of 200 grand. Like, it's one of the most expensive vehicles I've ever put myself behind the wheel of. So, yeah, it's a really pretty. But if you can afford that, I mean, you can afford some really good winter tires, or to not drive it at all in the winter. I don't think that is necessary. I think you'll be okay. You just got to be really careful because of all the weight you're carrying. I really like the visibility. I like the feeling of being in a truck but still being in an SUV, if that makes sense, because it does have the ride presence or ride feel of like a big truck, like a big pickup, like the Silverado EV. So I think that's really cool, and it's been fun to just experience all of this too. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to play with the arrival mode. So that basically, it's basically the crab walk version of things. So you go and you turn on arrival, and then it says rear steering is active. And so now I can kind of turn my wheel like this, and although it feels like I'm pointing forward in terms of where my hood is, I'm going to the left. But look at where my steering wheel is. I should be going aggressively to the left, but I'm not. But it's really cool because I can kind of like, say if I wanted to park near this curb here, I can kind of just do that. And then there you go. But also to turn, you got to pretty much full lock the steering wheel, go around like this, and then I can kind of come up to the curb here. It feels almost like a drift, I guess, but without the lateral force, because there's no, like, now the neighborhood, like, just for reference, it's 6:44 in the morning and people are just trying to go to work, and I'm just this little moron here that's fooling around with a really expensive Cadillac and just driving sideways like this down their neighborhood road. And they're probably like, what is this guy doing and why can't he drive right? So like here, we're gonna take another turn here. We're gonna obviously stop at the stop sign, and I really have to go slow for this, right? Because this at speed would just be dumb. And so as I'm trying to turn there, like the car's just kind of moving like this, and so now I'm like off center. So hopefully nobody comes because I don't know how to correct this. So let's just see if I turn the wheel back straight. I don't even know. Here, wait. I'm gonna stop. Okay, wait. That looks like a little bit more straight. All right, wait. We're gonna go around this way. There's actually like a progressive kind of corner there that I want to see how it looks when I go around that. Let's just see. Okay, I'm like in the middle of the road here, so let's try to get out of the way. I'm like trying to drive it properly, and I just, oh my God, I just don't feel like I can do that. Well, all right, I'm gonna come to a stop because it's actually giving me a headache because my brain is like, but we're going straight, but then it's like, but no, you're not. So we're gonna like come up to, oh, it's really good for coming up to a curb. Like, ooh, look how smooth that is. That's really what it's for. It's really for like athletes and, people who really want to make a scene when they show up to a spot. Me, not so much. But yeah, that's really, really cool. Here, I'm going to get out of this person's line of sight. They're, again, just trying to go to work. So, like, it's so funny. It's just such a showpiece that probably you're going to use it, like, at the beginning, and then you're probably going to forget it exists. To be honest, that's what's going to happen. Unless, like, you're really big on showing off your Escalade, and I guess some of you will be, the people that can genuinely afford this, or the people that are in extreme debt, you can probably do it. But I'll close it out right there. That was crab walking, and that was what it was like to kind of, a little bit more in depth of what it's like to live with midpoint here through the week. I'll pick it back up through the day. I got a lot of time with the Escalade today, so you'll see me, I'll try to film everything. Let's say it that way. So, since we're just about done work on my actual day job, let's get to the fun stuff, and let's show you around this crazy, teched out Cadillac Escalade IQ. I mean, look at all the stuff to go over. But I guess let's start with the steering wheel, right? So, check it out. We've got 2 spokes. It's got like this haptic feedback button stuff going on. So, got my media controls over here, volume controls and stuff like that, and then my cruise control, heated steering, and of course we have Blue Cruise enabled because, anything north of 200 grand should be able to nearly drive itself. So good news that we have that. Now, door handle, doors open automatically by themselves. If I open it right now, it'll turn the car off. So I don't want to do that, but I'll show you that with the passenger side in just a second. I have my seat controls right here, or I can control them from this middle screen right there. I can control my ventilated and heated seats as well as the massage from right here as well. All the way to the left, I have the adjusted suspension. So right now I am in the entry exit. I can go all the way up though. Then I have the front trunk control, the tailgate control, and the illumination control. The AKG speaker, which there is 40 of them, so you can see them everywhere. Let me know if you found them all in this video. There's probably ones that you're gonna notice that I just haven't because it's crazy. And then we get onto the gauge cluster here, so I can kind of go down here to Google Maps. Right now I have it on gauge. There's a couple different themes here. So that's gauge, and then if I go down again, you'll see I have driver assistance, and then there's also a night vision one, but I'll actually keep that one for nighttime, and I'll show you a bit more when it comes to driving this thing at night. I've got this this gear selector here. It's the same one you see on the Blazer EV. The Silverado EV had it too. Pretty much all have this one. Don't hate it, don't love it, kind of indifferent about it. It's convenient, easy to use. I got my wiper controls right there as well for the rear, but I have the digital rear view mirror, so I'm never really touching that too much. And then we have our second screen, other than the gauge cluster, and this is where you're gonna control a lot of the vehicle settings. There's no Apple CarPlay, no Android Auto, so if you're a Google user, no problem, because you got built-in Google Maps, Spotify, and Amazon Music. So you're gonna be completely fine and happy to just deal with that. I can control my ambient lighting from here as well. I can also got the vehicle status, the charging stuff. You can see right now I'm at 95% and I'm at 710 kilometers of full EV range, only EV range. You got trailering settings, so all your settings and stuff are going to get controlled through here. It's relatively easy. And then also you got a button there for your glove box because there is no actual physical button here, as you can see. So you're going to get stuck with using the button. So if this screen craps out, it's another one of those situations. Well, that's it. You're just SOL. You can't do very much with the, I don't know if there's a manual release somewhere. There probably is, but we'll go ahead and say that if you can't get access to the screen, it's not going to be a good time for you. But yeah, I would recommend that if you're going to own this thing, just sit in here, spend some time with it. You should be fine. Then we get over to our other screen here where I think in the States you have built-in apps. I know I have a YouTube built in for the main screen, but here I'm not sure. Vehicle status is a thing where you can see speedometer and stuff like that. But that's about it. And then I have my climate control right here and also all the other controls around the vehicle. So doors, so here I can show you that my passenger door can open if I just slide this here. Opens like that. And then I can also close it. So you can do that for all 4 doors, very cool. This is also where you're gonna enable the crab mode, the crab walk mode, or the arrival mode if you want. That's where all that's gonna happen. So you see rear steering, I can turn on the arrival mode, the crab walk stuff. I've got my cameras here, I can control my seats. So I've got heated, ventilated, massage, you name it, we've got it. I can control the position, I can also control all of that stuff for the second row. Same thing with temperature settings. It's like a tri or quad zone automatic climate control. So really cool, complete control here. I really like it. And then I've got this dial here that's nice with a bunch of quick access stuff, little volume knob, wireless charging pad here, wireless charging pad right here as well, little cup holders, some storage in here as well. And yeah, the seats are really comfortable, built-in speakers on the headrest here, really nice leather. All this outline here is all nice touch. Same thing with the sunshade. Everything is just premium, and it has no choice because it is so expensive to buy this thing. So it has to be the most premium thing you've ever seen. And I mean, it is. This is just a crazy amount of tech, a crazy amount of luxury, the most I've seen in a vehicle in a long time. And it just happens to be all electric, which is kind of cool. Let me know what you think, though. What do you think of the interior overall? Hopefully we'll have some time later this week, to actually hop into the back seat and show you that. Can't wait. So I'll pick it back up later on in the week. And since there is no engine, we do have a pretty massive front trunk. So a little hidden button down there. I'll be honest, I had to Google where it was, but here it is. A massive space for all of your needs. You could probably fit a suitcase or 2 in here. We do have some onboard power as well, so that's very cool. Windshield washer is going to go in right there. Usually I put my wall charger in here and, just the stuff that you don't really need or want in the car. A little privacy cargo screen right there for the rear. And yeah, I like how widely it opens as well. And same thing to close it. You go ahead and hit the button. You can also do this from the key fob as well, so no worries there either. All right, so sitting in the back seat of the Cadillac Escalade IQ with the executive package. So the executive package kind of adds this middle separation here. It kind of gives us an extra screen, whereas if you don't get it, well, then you're just stuck with, you kind of get the screen sort of, but like integrated into here. But you can control all the climates, including the third row, as you can see that is right there. Usually I'll keep the third row up. You can see there's a decent amount of room, but not a lot of room for fully grown adults, and there's absolutely no room behind the car seat. So there's just this seat. I had to move it all the way back because I don't have too much of a gap between the seat and the screen, so I wanted to make sure that they weren't rubbing up against each other or anything. But I do have this screen here. I think in the US you guys will have like built-in, I think I saw built-in apps, but I don't for some reason. I have to connect an HDMI wire, which I can do right down here. I can connect that and plug something in, so PS5 or Amazon Fire Stick, Apple TV, anything that can connect via HDMI, I can plug into here. But other than that, if you don't have any of that, you can kind of see how fast the driver is going, the energy, the usage, all that cool stuff. You can kind of just have that pulled up just as a kind of in-car little thing to look at as you're driving along. Pretty cool. And then we have this screen here that's going to control your second and third row climate, as well as your seats. So you can have your ventilated seat on, your massage seats up here, and the position, of course. Then you have some controls, so you can control the ambient lighting back here. You can customize the stuff that you want from back here, which is cool. You can also do the doors, so I can control the rear doors only from here, obviously. And then obviously you can have conversation enhanced, so that when on, the front speakers will amplify your voice so the driver and front passenger can hear you better. So basically if you want to yell something at your driver, you can do that and just turn this on. And yeah, all your controls are right here, really nice. Got some cup holders, and I really like this trim here with 2 USB-C ports, 2 wireless phone chargers with the little heaters, and this is probably the coolest part, right? So I've got these guys right here. This can fold up and out, and then over and down like this, and push this, and boom. Look at this. We have our own little airplane seat kind of tray table. You can put your iPad, laptop, maybe a food, maybe you're eating some breakfast on here. You kind of bring it over here and eat while it's driving. But I'm assuming most people will use this for, like, you know, a phone stand or something like that. But it's pretty cool to have. And of course, the passenger has one. The other passenger has one too. But of course, my baby sits in there, so I don't need it at the moment. But really interesting. It's a really interesting setup, but really feels high quality and high class as ever. So that's really, really cool. And then you have this huge view of this massive tinted sunroof, one big piece of glass. Looks really, really cool. And yeah, overall, it's just a cool place to spend time. I mean, it doesn't get much more luxurious than this, does it? But let me know what you think. What do you think of the backseat? Executive package or no? You spending the extra money or what? All right, so I don't think I've showed you guys what the startup looks like for the Cadillac Escalade IQ, because right now I'm just going to take some pictures, but check this out. So the car is currently off. The SUV is currently off. So I'm going to do this. My favorite feature. Look at that. Opens up by itself. And the car is not supposed to be on, but it is. So there you go. But usually you'd hop in and you would press the brake and everything would start up. But in my case, it didn't start up. It didn't turn off the last time I got out of it. So no problem. But yeah, usually that's the case, is you press the brake and the vehicle starts up, no problem, and you get your pillar-to-pillar screens. This is nuts, right? Oh my goodness, look at all these screens. All right, so unfortunately, the worst time of the week has come, because our time with the Cadillac Escalade IQ is coming to an end. It sucks. I really don't want to give this thing back. I mean, it's just been such a good week to haul the family in, to go get groceries in, and just to whip around, because this thing, you want people to see you in. I love the style. I love the luxury. It's, you know, out the wall. It's on both sides. The tech is cool. I mean, just look. I love how tinted the rear windows are. You can't even see inside there. It's perfect. I love that kind of stuff. I mean, the back looks good. A ton of range, a ton of speed, a ton of power. Over the top luxury, but it's going to cost a ton of money. That is the biggest trade-off, right? You get all these things, you get all these really nice things, but you got to pay for it, and it's not cheap. At $194,000 Canadian, if you add the Quebec taxes, because you're not going to get any help from the government with this one, it's probably north of $200,000. So if I was to buy it, I'd probably have to live in it. That is the reality of that. But what an awesome Escalade platform. What an awesome thing to experience. I mean, let me know what you guys think. Would you buy one if you suddenly came into an absurd amount of money and you could just drop 200 grand on an SUV? Would this be something you look into? It might just be something I look into, although the V still exists. That's the problem. If they killed the V and this was all that's left, well then sure, I'll take this. But the V still exists. That's a big one. But it is faster than the V. It is faster. So that being said, make sure that you like, subscribe if you want to see more vehicles like this one, because the more subscribers I have, the more cool stuff like this I can get, and we can go, sky is the limit. So make sure you subscribe, like, make sure you comment, let me know what you think of the vehicle overall. With that being said, I'll see you next week, see you in the next car. Take care.